I'd seen him in the garden, putting out food for the sick fox that sleeps behind the shed. And I remember how, when he bent down for the plate, he kept a hand behind his back, which is how my dad used to stand.
So it's a dystopian comedy, and it's about consensual digital stalking. So it follows two characters who move to London, and they're going through their first experience of grief. And they're both very lonely in London, which is a very lonely place to be lonely. And basically, one of the characters sends a baby monitor to the other character, unknowingly, and it has a live feed to her house. And they create this relationship where she gets a lot from being watched, and the guy, Jonah, gets a lot from watching this other person. And suddenly they end up getting into this relationship where they end up eating dinner at the same time, they watch TV shows together. It's actually, in a lot of ways, more successful than a lot of other relationships might be.
I loved the script from the get-go. I think it's Phil Porter, who actually we were so lucky that he came into rehearsals last week, actually, so we got to meet him a bit and chat a little bit about his writing process and how he created the story. I think it's a really, really brilliant script, very specific, very detailed, but the comedy is so in terms of character, I felt like so much is given already on the page. The characters are so detailed, so vivid. So that was I was really drawn to Jonah.
When Simon first approached me with this role, he said, I think it's going to challenge you. And that's what I care about as an actor. I care about challenging myself so that I can get better, because acting is the art form to which I've dedicated my life, and I want to improve at it. And so he said, I think this is because I'm playing against type in this. Sophie's not a woman who's big and strong. She's not a pirate. She's not a vampire. She's not a force witch like I've played in the last few years, you know. She's just a very vulnerable woman. And Simon said, I think this role is going to make you vulnerable, and the techniques I want you to use to approach the role will make you vulnerable too. And that's what attracted me to it. I was like, okay, by doing this, I'm going to get better at the thing that I love. But as for the rest of it, having of the idea, the trip to the post office, the actual packaging and sending of the screen, all of that happened in a kind of foggy haze. And so when the camera beeps to life, it's a shock at first.
I'm from Yorkshire, and he's from the Ribble Valley, so on the borders of West Yorkshire and Lancashire. And I think I really related. I mean, there's quite a lot about him that is different to me, but I related to the story of a young lad who moves down to London, goes from this rural, remote background to being in a city, feeling quite overwhelmed, feeling quite lonely, trying to find his place in the world. And I could relate to that movie down from Yorkshire and coming to London. Certainly in my first couple of years, I didn't know how to settle and find London a home. So yeah, it's a story about loneliness. It's about grief as well. But I love the humour as well, and the lightness and comedy that's in the script. It's kind of my sense of humour. I'm intrigued to see what audiences think about it.
They start going out on dates, and it keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. It really takes you on a lot of different journeys. And what's quite funny is watching this thing that, you know, when you begin watching it, you're like, this relationship's so weird, this is so wrong. But then you see actually for them it kind of works. And then you think of different relationships you've had or have in your life, and you're like, hang on, that's actually so much simpler than this thing I've got. So why is that not equally as valid?
Well, this is the second time that I've worked with Metal Rabbit, because they produced my debut play that I wrote, The Prince, at the Southwark Playhouse, and they did a phenomenal job of that, collaboration with Nebula producing that too. So I knew Metal Rabbit were a safe pair of hands when Sophie and Simon and George approached and were like, we're thinking about doing this. And I was like, okay, grand. And like, I knew they were going to take good care of me and make sure I was looked after throughout the run and throughout the rehearsal process. So I had every confidence in them, and yeah, it's a sign of quality.
I feel so lucky and privileged to be working with Metal Rabbit. Simon, our director, has been fantastic. He's got a really interesting approach in rehearsals. He's finding kind of new ways of exploring the text, sometimes pushing actors in new ways, making us feel safe but uncomfortable and finding new ways of approaching things. So that's been really exciting. And also working with Abby has been absolutely great. We met literally on we didn't meet until the first day of rehearsals for our read through. And obviously as a two-hander, I've just got her with me on stage, so I'm really clinging on and holding on to her, and that's been great. It's been really collaborative. I'm excited. I'm excited for audiences to see it.
But part of the game that we're playing with this show is finding the lightness in the bits that are intense. Because on the page, there's a lot of bits that are very kind of, it's about grief, or it's about cancer, or it's about, it's very serious stuff. And so we are trying to find the moments, as people do authentically when they're narrating quite difficult periods of their life, to find the lightness in it, to say, well, I dare you to laugh at this. Because it's always more compelling to see someone try and maybe fail to cope with a difficult circumstance than it is to see someone wallow in it, And also, that's the easier way out as an actor.
It's in this way that her whereabouts become apparent to me.
Which is fine. It's bound to happen eventually.
We're on stage the whole time, but also we're in two different flats. So the story, we are actually kind of separate in some of the scenes for quite a long time. There's also really exciting multi-rolling, which we get to play with. And like I say, like the medium of this play really is a play about storytelling.
So we're trying to find these moments of real authentic storytelling and connecting with the audience, even zooming in on an individual audience member and saying, I'm going to give this piece of the show and the story to you. That's what's really wonderful. And as an actor who splits her time between screen and stage, I'm really finding that fascinating. One of the things that I loved in that little extract we just did was picking one person in the audience and go, okay, I'm going to give you a screen performance now. I'm going to calibrate it at that level. And then when I finish this beat, I'm going to bring it out and give a bigger one to this whole row. And I'm just going to pick little pieces here and there. It's wonderful. It's so freeing, actually.
We've got audiences on three sides. So yeah, as an actor, there's no hiding, there's no escape, and we don't need the stage, but I think that's perfect for this kind of immersive experience that we'll be telling.